I'm your host, the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, and I've got a question for you. What do you think they're doing with your DNA? You know that DNA you sent off to 23andMe, and you were so excited about the results, and you shared it with all your friends and family, and you didn't think anything of sending that information off to a bunch of total strangers that were going to stick it into a database, and that database was going to be used for, well, you just didn't think about it, you just didn't care. Well, let me assure you that there is somebody out there that cares about your DNA, and it's Satan himself, and he wants to know if you have a Y chromosome that links you to the bloodline of Aaron. That's right, Aaron of the Bible, the high priest. Well, why would that matter today? Because today it has to take the one in the line of Aaron to take the role of high priest to form the Sanhedrin, which will call for the return of Jesus. And there is a way to weaponize that DNA. As a matter of fact, over 40 countries around the world have DNA weaponization laboratories looking to take out certain people who have genetic markers in particular areas. One of those areas is specific to the Y chromosome marker of the line of Aaron, and that is the plot line behind the best-selling biblical thriller, The Codist. Now out in second edition, sold out the first edition, available to you on Kindle for a special price of $2.99, or get the paperback both on Amazon.com. Also want to encourage you to visit our website and click on our special offers, and you'll see a cover of this yellow book. The cover is the cover to my latest book, The 7 Laws of Abundant Living, Lessons Learned from the Tree of Life. When you click on that book, we'll ask for your email address, but we won't send you spam because spam is not kosher, but we will send you the first chapter of this book. We take you on a journey from the natural to the supernatural, using the ground all the way out to the fruit to reveal 7 immutable laws of God and 7 lessons within each one of those laws, revealing things of the natural, revealing supernatural truths. Get your copy today on any of the sites that sell good Christian books. It's even out in Indonesian. It's my privilege to welcome on the last Monday of every month at this hour, the 12 o'clock hour, Faith Blatchford, author of Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep, Dreams, and Revelation, and host of The Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days. She's the founder and president of Age to Come, a nonprofit organization. She's an ordained minister, a graduate of Vassar College, and holds a BA in religion. She travels in the U.S. and abroad, speaking in churches, schools, and conferences as an author as well as a producer of instrumental soaking CDs. Her goal is to be a catalyst for radical, life-changing encounters with the presence of God, whether through preaching, teaching, prophesying, counseling, coaching, or impartation. She's here hosting the Sleep Project, and we are delighted to welcome Faith Blatchford back to Revealing the Truth.
Good to see you, Eric.
Good to see you, Faith. I'm struggling with my sound here. That's because I came unplugged, so you can't do anything if you are not plugged in. I think that has
sure.
a lot to say for a lot of things, including our relationship with God.
Absolutely.
And so now I'm plugged in. I can hear you loud and clear. So
Great.
Tell me, it's we did not have you on last month. It was during the time of Jason's mom's passing, and we spent our time honoring him and his family. And we appreciate you being so gracious as to allow us that time to grieve the loss of someone very, very special to us. So how are you, and what have you been doing?
Well, I'm just great, and I'm still encouraging people to get educated about sleep. And I've realized that we really have to sell people on sleep. I was actually at a store over the weekend looking at a mattress, because I give everybody advice about how they need to get a good mattress, and it's sort of the cobbler's children don't have shoes. Well,
Right.
Here's the sleep ambassador who's been sleeping on a cheap bed. So I went to buy a bed, and talking to the salesperson, talking about selling beds, and I said, you know, you really have to sell people on sleep before they will buy a bed. And that's true in terms of dreams. You know, that's what we're talking about. But if you don't sleep, chances are you're not going to dream because you're not going to get into that REM state where dreams happen. So I'm realizing I have to back up to something really basic, and that is to teach people about the value they need to have for sleep. And that it'll be a natural segue into dreams. So I think talking about dream robbers, one of the big dream robbers is lack of sleep. And even before that, I think one of the dream robbers is, do we really care whether we have dreams or not? And should we care? And I think convincing people that we should care and then helping them to care is going to make a big difference.
Faith, a dream study was done in response to how long do we dream each night? And the report showed we dream every 90 minutes throughout the night, with each cycle of dreaming being longer than the previous. The first dream of the night is about 5 minutes long, and the last dream you have before awakening can be 45 minutes to an hour long. And I was startled by this. I remembered snippets of various dreams, but it is beyond my imagination that a dream could last 45 minutes to an hour, and that is the last dream before waking, which is your deepest time of sleep, when you're in that REM state, and it is the most rejuvenating part to your body in cell repair, cell regeneration, the system which is the whole filtration system of the body, the kidneys, the liver, all of those that are the filters are working in that prone position, which makes it not gravity driven, but process driven by this perfect design that God gave us, that when we enter into this deepest state, we're not just doing bodily regeneration, but that is actually cell regeneration and stimulation of the cortex, the cerebral cortex, and each of the lobes of the brain. The cells are elongating and becoming healthier and actually fighting the aging process, which I find to be stunning.
Yes, I mean, and this is another reason that the education, I'm establishing a program, I'm calling it SOE. You know, we have SEO, everybody's into search engine optimization. I'm highlighting, focusing on SOE, and what that is sleep optimization education, SOE. Because if we don't have the education, just what you reported right there, then we're not going to get into that place of the deepest sleep and have the benefits physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And that's where, if we can educate people and give them the awareness of, oh my gosh, look what happens when you sleep, then we're going to help people do two things. They are going to prioritize it and protect it. And we first have to prioritize sleep before we're going to protect the night and the hours for sleep. So education is going to mean prioritization and protection against the dream robbers. And those robbers are, you know, sometimes people think if you say robber, immediately people think, oh yes, demons. We've got to put on all our armor and we've got to get in the wrestling position. But you know, most of the dream robbers are not demons. Everything is not a demon. But if we put the blame, you know, there was a show a long time ago, and the tagline was, "The devil made me do it." And so we get out of having any responsibility.
Flip Wilson.
yeah. But it's not always the devil that is the robber or impacts our life. These other areas of our mind, our body, our emotions, our spirit, we have some responsibility. And so it's not enough just to go to bed and say, I take authority over every demon. That is not going to cut it.
You know, Faith, I just came back from Israel, and there's an 8-hour time difference. And I tell people that I deliberately schedule our flights so we land during the day, both on the going trip and the return trip, because I find that the circadian rhythm that we establish in our bodies, which is light related, is best able to be reset when you land in the light, and it's harder to go to sleep in the light, so you resist going to sleep until it becomes dark, and that gets you into the cycle of the location you're landing in. So
Right.
when you return and you have an 8-hour time difference, the scientists will tell you it takes you 1 hour per day per time zone to get back to your normal rhythm, unless you are intentional the way I am. And what I
Mm-hmm.
tell people is do not sleep based on home time until you're on the return home leg. So
Mm-hmm.
if we leave at 1 o'clock in the morning in Israel time, then that is 6 o'clock a.m. or 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock a.m. You wouldn't go to sleep at 5 a.m. So I say push yourselves. Push yourselves not to sleep on that first leg.
Right.
Resist it until we hit that time when, let's say, even if you were 10 o'clock go to bed, if you weren't feeling well, you might go to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. Give
Mm-hmm.
yourself that break. Set your clock to go to sleep at that time. Pull the shade down on the plane, cover your head. Try to sleep when you would be sleeping at home, so when you land, you're going to be in this cycle. And that is one of the very big, especially for people that travel,
Right.
a big sleep robber is not understanding light sensitivity. And people kind of think I'm a little nuts. I travel with binder clips because I clip the drapes together. And I used to travel, it was easier for me when I was in an office to get those sheets of round dot stickers. And I
Mm-hmm.
would put them on every green light that was in the room. Well, the television set has a power light. That's going to glow. And the thermostat is going to glow. And the
Right.
fire detector is going to glow. And I had all these points of light that my mind would take my eyes to look at these points of light. And so now I just use Band-Aids. It's kind of universal. I have to travel with Band-Aids with a group in case they get a blister, so I just use Band-Aids, and I put that over the power, that over, and so it makes it easier for me. But that's how I travel, because I do this trip every year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I can't sleep in a light room. I have to
Right.
have it dark. I'm
Exactly.
a pitch black dark. I have blackout drapes. I make it so that it's dark and on the cool side. So you have to, part of this is not only understanding the sleep robbers, but how they impact you individually.
Yes.
So in your examination of mattresses, what did you find?
Well, I mean, it really was a God thing because I went to this store to replace a chair, a recliner that I have in my entertainment room. And the salesperson was, I mean, he was brilliant because while I'm checking out the chairs, he said, well, how's your mattress? And so I thought, well, wasn't that a good segue just to ask somebody? And I said, well, I probably need a new one. And so he begins to give me the tour, and he gives me all this information about sleep. He is selling me on sleep. So finally, after I'm lying and checking out about the fourth mattress, I had a card about the book, Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep, Dreams, and Revelation. I said, actually, I'm an author and I have written a book on sleep. And he said, no way. And so I spent 4 hours in the store because we were like two people who, have the same passion. Yes, he wants to sell mattresses, but he really has a passion for people getting sleep. So, without going into brands and all that, I'm not ready to do that. We're talking about even the possibility of somehow connecting with the maker of the mattresses, and I don't want to jump the gun, but uh, this idea of sleep education is so important because, and he said, there are people who come in here and they might buy an expensive bed for themselves, but they'll buy the cheapest thing in the store for their kids. Like, our kids are the most important treasure we have, and yet we're not setting them up for sleep success because we're giving them a really just cheap, awful mattress. So, anyway, I think it's this intentionality and what you've said about going on a trip and you prepare for the trip and this preparation for sleep. People prepare for the morning so that they don't arrive late and get robbed of their paycheck. They plan ahead so they don't get stuck in traffic. But the preparation for sleep is not something that most people that I know, nobody prepares for sleep. And that's this thing about if we value the outcome of sleep. I mean, I was thinking about this as I was thinking about this session today, and I thought, if I knew someone very rich and very famous was going to come to my house one evening and I was going to benefit by my interaction with this very famous, very wealthy person, I would prioritize that time that the person was coming. And I would protect it. If my friend said, hey, you want to go see a movie? And I'd say, not tonight, because somebody really important is coming and I'm going to benefit from this. I would put such high priority on it and prepare for it and make sure that I was ready for this visitor. Well, God Himself, the creator of the universe, the one who is the provider, the source, who owns all the silver and gold, who has all the secrets, He wants to visit us at night through dreams and revelation and inspiration. And so preparing for that visit is really important. And to help people understand, there is value in getting the best sleep environment, preparing our minds, our emotions, our body, and our spirit for this nighttime encounter.
There's so many things that are now being studied about sleep disorders, insomnia, apnea, jet lag, restless legs, shift work, snoring. But when I purchased a mattress several years ago, they talked to me about all these thermal ones, and I said, no, they make me too hot. I've tried them. They then said, okay, well, then you need this. I said, well, I tried that, and it gets too saggy. And they said, well, then what you need is a hybrid. I said, yes, that's what I need is a hybrid. And so they introduced me to a line of hybrids that had the best of all. I said, well, now you're talking. I don't need a sleep number. I don't need to adjust. What I need to do is I sleep in a certain position on my side. That's how I sleep, the way I sleep. And I want to be able to crawl in bed, put my head on the pillow, and go to sleep. I dedicate the night to the Lord, and that's about the end of my conversation, then I'm asleep. And I'm happy to have that because I now have a mattress which is suitable for my body style, for the position I'm in. And it actually is a hybrid. It has a little bit of a memory. If you ran your hand across it, you could feel that there's probably a little bit of an indentation in there. I tried once flipping it, and it was uncomfortable because I was basically on a brand new mattress that felt kind of like, but wasn't. So I flipped it back, and then I read that flipping mattresses isn't the way you do things anymore. You rotate them, you don't flip them. And I just said, enough with that. I'm not going to break this mattress into two different dimensions. It's fine. But I was intentional about it. And you're exactly right, is that we're intentional about how things look. The bed coverings, the pillows, how you put that new V. I don't know why you put a V in a pillow when you put it on a couch, but you put a V in it now. But that's what you do. So that's the new thing that's in vogue. But we aren't intentional about, we're looking for, and it's a costly investment.
Yes, it is. Very.
But it has the single largest benefit and impacts the greatest part of your life is your sleep. And so I think we have a reprioritization. We actually become self-thieves or self-robbers, and then we want to look for other things we can point our finger at. We're talking with Faith Blatchford, author of Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep, Dreams, and Revelation, and host of the Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, the last Monday of every month right here at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Revealing the Truth. You can find out more about Faith at www.faithblatchford.com. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to continue in this discussion of sleep robbers and what you can do to take back the night. We'll be right back. Shalom. I'm the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, Executive Director of Igniting a Nation and host of the daily TV program Revealing the Truth, seen live every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time at www.ianbn.com, and then replayed throughout the day and night via our website. All of our segments can be seen on the Igniting a Nation YouTube channel. Since our launch in January of this year, we've expanded our global reach to over 54 countries with a social media following of over 125,000. Our commitment is to bring you the most in-depth interviews with authors, subject matter experts, and thought leaders from around the world. We have interviewed guests from Israel, Brazil, England, India, and all across North America. All of our authors are featured on the Books and Media page on our website, www.ianbn.com. There you can find a direct link to the book you want to order, and we receive a small commission directly from Amazon. There is no cost to you for this service. In addition to our daily teachings and interviews, we make available to you the archive of all of the interviews on our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram channels. Our live program is available from our homepage, and there is never a charge to you for any of this access. We made the decision long ago that we would remain a commercial-free resource that would not be influenced by any pressure from any outside company. There are only two ways that we are able to continue to operate this ministry and provide you with the only live 4-hour daily Christian television talk show program. The first is through your support and tax-deductible contributions to Igniting a Nation. These can be made directly through the donate button on the website or sent through the mail to Igniting a Nation, 2700 Corporate Drive, Suite 120, Birmingham, Alabama, 35242. The other way we support the program is by offering you a unique opportunity to have access to over 10 years worth of teachings on a subscription basis. The teaching archives contains all of my prior sermons, Torah studies, prophecy in the news videos, and much more for the low subscription price of $5 per month. This subscription grants you unlimited access to over 800 hours of content not available elsewhere and is updated weekly with the most current prophecy classes. In addition to 20 hours of original TV programming each weekday, we invite you to join us live every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evenings for our Prophecy in the News classes. The times and locations are listed on our events page on the website www.ianbn.com. Every day, you and I are faced with the challenge of where we will go to hear the truth. We are committed to bring you the only program of its kind that covers the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. We cannot do this without your support. Since we launched on January 5th, 2017, we have aired over 300 individual teachings, interviews, and commentaries not available anywhere else. We are now working side by side with almost every major Christian publishing house to bring you the most in-depth feature interviews possible. Our one-hour features address every subject that affects the believer's life. We are hearing of salvations from the Middle East, Africa, and all across the United States. Lives are being changed every day, and we have only just begun. Our mission is to become your trusted resource and grant you access to the people, tools, and information you need to grow in your relationship with the Lord. You can help us by liking us on social media and through your financial support. We know you have many choices in who you support, but we are prayerfully asking you to consider helping us keep revealing the truth, true to our calling, to cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth like no other program available. Donate today and help us bring the message to the four corners of the earth. Visit www.ianbn.com and donate, buy a book, or subscribe to our teaching archives. Without you, we do not exist. Shalom and welcome back to this edition of Revealing the Truth, where we cover the headlines, the heartlines, and biblical truth. I'm your host, the Reverend Rabbi Eric Walker, and we're talking with Faith Blatchford, host of the Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, and author of Winning the Battle for the Night, God's Plan for Sleep, Dreams, and Revelation. Faith, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Eric.
Faith, the world has a way of motivating us by telling us all the dangers. You know, danger, Will Robinson, warning, warning, warning. If you don't get enough sleep, you're going to be prone to heart disease and you're going to get type 2 diabetes. Warning, warning, warning. If you don't get enough sleep, then you're going to be, your immune system's going to be compromised. You're going to be more subject to more office visits. Warning, 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 danger, Will Robinson. If you don't get enough sleep, then this fate is going to befall you, and you just have no idea the doors you're opening when you don't get enough sleep. And that's just, you know, it's the Surgeon General's warning, and you still people smoke. It's right. The Surgeon General's warning, and you still see people drink. People are still being picked up for drunk driving, distracted driving. They're still getting, taking pills that they know they shouldn't. There's still drug addiction. This idea of the negative consequence does not seem to be very motivating. How is your approach to educating us and making us aware of sleep different than the message of the world?
Well, I think it's the difference between prodding someone with a sharp stick from the rear and holding out a delicious carrot in front of them. And if we can motivate people with the positive, one is just in the natural, that so many of the studies that have been done on sleep and lack of sleep, that our creativity, our productivity skyrockets and performance when we get enough sleep. I've been doing some study on finding out famous people, athletes, actresses, just people like Jeff Bezos, who's probably one of the wealthiest men in the world right now, Amazon.com. He makes a priority of 8 hours of sleep. Some of the most famous athletes right now, one whole team, the Seattle Seahawks, the NFL team, they're now wearing these wristbands that do more than just what some, I have entry-level Fitbit. They have them that do all kinds of analysis to get them to sleep to get the best results on the playing field. So it's this idea that sleep equals success. And most people in life are doing things for success. Who wants to eat something, drink something, have a regime that doesn't produce results that will make me succeed? And I think that is, in the natural, it's the success carrot that sleep is going to produce. In the spiritual, it is the connection with God that is the carrot. And for some people, we've got to get rid of some of the blocks between us and God in order to make that connection. Sometimes people say, well, I'm not important enough for God to give me a significant dream. We look at the people who are famous preachers, the people who are famous prophets, and we say, well, of course, God's going to give them some significant dream, but I'm nobody, so God isn't going to appear to me. Or another block that's a lie is, well, I'm not worthy. In my consulting with people, counseling people, one of the biggest lies that comes up every time in someone's life and their connection with God is, I'm not worthy. And it's because of past failures, sins, unresolved things from the past that make us feel that God has disqualified us. And part of the disqualification means, he would never give me a dream of any significance. So dealing with those blocks is really important so that we know that every single person is a candidate for encounters with the God of the universe at night. Every single person. It doesn't matter what age, what race, what social, economic situation they're in. We're all his children, and he wants to spend the night with us.
Faith, sleep is a calling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that anybody's ever really framed it that way, but sleep is a calling. It's a call. It's not a call to inaction. It's a call to complete preparation to receive.
Exactly.
If I look at the human nature, and you ask people, they say, well, I'm a giver. I'm a giver. I'm a giver. I'm a giver. Well, look, if everybody was a giver, there'd be nobody to be receivers. You didn't give anything, you actually received salvation. You didn't give anything, God loved you first. You didn't give, so let's get out of this mindset of convincing yourself, well, we're givers. No, we're receivers. And we pass along in some form or fashion, as best we can, a portion of what we've been given. But there is a calling, and this calling is to be in relationship with God. If you can't be in relationship with God in the supernatural, unconscious state of where God meets you, how is it that you think that you can orchestrate or structure your own relationship with God in the conscious when this is something that is so supernatural, so intangible, so indescribable, that we have to be, in order to have a relationship with God, we have to actually transcend the natural and dwell in the supernatural, and that includes the extra added benefit of 8 uninterrupted hours of full immersion in the supernatural realm that we seem to be spending our waking hours pursuing when all we have to do is go to bed.
Exactly.
I mean, that makes it kind of simple and in your face, but you spend 16 frantic hours chasing after something that's just waiting for you, and you don't have to do anything but make yourself comfortable, figure out what it is that's been keeping you from sleeping. Read Winning the Battle for the Night and embrace what you embraced, which was envy and jealousy over somebody else's great night's sleep and great dreams. And you thought you had to be so productive that if you weren't doing something for the kingdom, you were wasting time. I see Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit with the watch. I'm late for a very important date. And they're running, and getting nowhere. And there is no important date. The important date has been waiting for you all the time, and that's an encounter with the Lord. We've really taken something so beautiful and such an incredible gift. We've turned it into an industry. We've turned it into a psychiatry. We've turned it into a malady. We've turned it into a diagnosis. And instead, we need to reframe our complete perspective on sleep as being an invitation to he who dwells in the shadow. Well, the shadow is not in the light. It's in the shadow.
Exactly.
That's the dark place. So if I want to dwell in the shadow, I can't think of a better way than to go to sleep and dwell in that shadow for a good 8 hours.
And, I want to pick up on your calling sleep a calling, because it really ties into our eternal calling. I mean, why we were put on this earth. And I believe we're on this earth to bring heaven to earth, to be the instruments, to bring the reality of heaven and all that's available to this earth. But the problem is that I don't have all the answers. I don't know how to solve the problems. I don't have all the wisdom that I need to deal with poverty, family problems, education, illnesses, all of those things. And so the calling to sleep is God's promise that if I'll go to sleep and connect with him, that he will download to me what I need to fulfill my calling during the day, which is to bring heaven to earth. But without responding to the call to sleep, I will never be successful in my call to disciple the nations. They go hand in hand. You got to respond to the call to sleep in order to fulfill the call to disciple the nations.
I read so much about apps to set your bedtime, apps to set your waking time, watches, Apple watches on a nightstand that will slowly lighten the room. My circadian triggers are so sensitive that it doesn't matter what time of year, when light breaks through, I awake. I awaken. And it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter what time I went to bed. If I go to bed at 3 o'clock, I wake up when the sun comes up. If I go to bed at 11 o'clock, I wake up when the sun comes up. If I go to bed at 9 o'clock, I wake up when the sun comes up. The idea of people saying, we'll just go back to bed, there's no desire. I am wide awake. Not drinking a cup of coffee for the caffeine to help me transition. I'm awake, alert, aware, not in a stupor. I have clarity, and I enjoy that because I don't take time to, I'm neither morning nor evening person. I'm the same in all my waking hours. So that's from the moment I wake to the moment I go to sleep is fairly intentional. But people struggle with this, the idea of taking something for even an occasional, what you would put as a interruption in sleep cycle, or then they're prone to call it insomnia. What do we do in those moments? Why would God allow for a regular sleeper to have sleep interruption? What is going on there in that scenario, and why would God use that time to bring us to a state of awakeness?
There are a lot of answers to that one. That's a very broad question, because the answer can come in terms of mental things that are going on in our mind, things going on in our emotions, things going on in our body, and spiritual things. And the spiritual things can be God waking us up for a particular reason. But if we are setting a schedule, if we're prioritizing sleep, then I believe, we have to have a vision for what the best is. The best is 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, and we have to believe that that is God's will, and that He is going to help us experience His will. We do that in terms of salvation and healing, that we know what Jesus did on the cross for us, and we are moving towards the fullness of the experience of what He did on the cross. Well, I think we have to do the same thing in sleep. But we have been robbed for so long and uneducated that we don't have a vision for what we're aiming for. And if we have the vision, then we can say, okay, God, here are some distractions, some robbers. And, one may be physical. And for people who have insomnia, who have chronic pain, who have sleep apnea, who have all these physical things, yes, go to the doctor, do what you need to do, but keep the vision of 8 hours of sweet, deep, peaceful sleep, which is God's promise, and pray for healing. Just because the doctor says, well, you have restless leg syndrome, and at your age, it's going to, you'll have it the rest of your life. Do I believe what the doctor says is the final verdict? No, I believe what God says, that Jesus on the cross bore all of our sins and sicknesses, that I can receive healing. And whether it's sleep apnea, yes, use the CPAP, do what you need to do, but pray and keep that vision out there. I don't think that God designed sleep with the idea that at some point in our life we are all going to be wearing CPAP machines. But if you need it, use it, but go towards that vision in prayer, in expectancy. And I think that's one of the big things that we have to restore to people who have been robbed of sleep, is expectancy, hope, and expectancy that there will come a day when there will be a better night for them. We have to educate, but instill hope and expectancy.
So if we understand the concept, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Exactly.
Kind of a universal thought. People agree with that you don't tackle a project without having a strategy. You don't go to build something without having a plan. Your career, you have a plan for, you have desires. God gives you a future vision, a calling, a direction. But when it comes to sleep, we seem to fall victim to it, as if it were something that was to be feared. It was something that was not important. It was something that was a waste of time. For some people, prior to sleep, maybe their spouse may have gone to sleep. They consider it to be that's their time, and so they want to hold on to it for as long as they want. But maybe the reason they want to hold on to it could be repaired if they got a better night's sleep, and maybe their attitudes would change towards their spouse and towards the redemption of time that God gives. I actually believe that sleep is a time redeemer, not a time stealer, and that because my time is redeemed, I'm able to do what I do at my age with the vigor and the zest that I do it when others around me are in retirement. It's not even on the horizon. It's not even something that's a possibility. We're looking at expansion plans and the whole new new world that's out there waiting for us to break through to heal the nations with the Word of God.
Mm-hmm.
So, when did the enemy creep into this particular area? Was there a point in time when what we would call the good old days, if you will, that this wasn't a problem, or was it the same problem, we just didn't talk about it?
Well, Job talks about insomnia. He doesn't use the word insomnia, but he talks about lying on his bed awake and tossing and turning. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. And so I think sleeplessness has been an issue for, I mean, Job is it was a long time ago. But I think it's been exacerbated by our lifestyle of light, the 24-hour day because of light. And I think because of the increase of all the forms of social media and the intrusion of demonic activity and ideas that are available to us. So I think it's gotten worse, but I think it's been the enemy has been, is, and always will be a robber and a thief. And so that's one reason, Paul said, don't go to bed angry, because you give a foothold to the devil. And the word nightmare actually means night demon. Right. And so the spiritual dimension, the doors that we open to the demonic, are doors. We have the handle on that door. He doesn't have, he cannot intrude. The door into the night only has one handle, and we're the ones that open it. And that's important to see. What we allow in is what comes in. And one way it comes in is through anger, unforgiveness. And the other is through lies that we believe. And fear is based on a lie. So if somebody's afraid of the night, afraid of the dark, many people are, and it's tormenting. But it's belief in a lie, either that the devil owns the night or God's not going to protect me. Whatever the lie is, those two things, lies and unforgiveness, we open the door with the handle that we have on our side of the door. The devil doesn't have a handle if we don't allow unforgiveness and lies to exist.
Do you think that most people dedicate their sleep to the Lord like they would dedicate their child, they would dedicate their house, they would dedicate their life maybe, but do they see sleep as an independent action of fellowship and relationship and connection with the heavenly realm, enough so that if they would just dedicate the sleep to the Lord, simple dedication, Lord, I dedicate my sleep to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Being the last words that leave their lips and the last thought that they frame their mind with, do you believe that they would be opening the door to significant change?
Absolutely. And once again, it's education. When I speak at Christian conferences in different contexts, business conferences, dream conferences, student conferences, and I say, how many of you have ever heard a message on sleep in church? And no one raises their hand unless someone has heard me speak or heard a tape, and they say, well, raise their hand. I said, what was it? And they said, you talking about it. And so this idea that the body of Christ has not been educated about what God's intention is for the night, that we need to have a routine. We need to prepare. We need to engage with God, to dedicate the night. People don't know that. And so as a result, we get robbed.
And that's exactly what happens, is that sleep robbers, many of them are self-inflicted. And we need to inventory our homes, to inventory our bedrooms, inventory our sleep patterns. Take a look at what your sleep life is like. If it's not what you want it to be, that doesn't mean that is a terminal situation and it's never going to get any better. As Faith in her own pursuit found that a decision about a mattress, yes, it's an investment, but it's an investment in a new Bible. It's an investment in a new opportunity to have a relationship with some part of the Lord that you have been missing out on because of your discomfort or your disquiet during your sleep time. This is so essential to our walk with the Lord, that we walk with Him all the time, whether we are, as He says in Deuteronomy 6:5-9, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and all your mind. And these commandments that I give you today are to be on your heart. You should talk about them when you rise up and when you lie down. Okay? The lying down part is going to sleep. You should be meditating upon these instructions, meditating upon these words when you go to sleep. And if you want to win the battle for the night and understand God's plan for sleep, dreams, and revelation, you need to get that book by that name, Winning the Battle for the Night. Just visit our website, ignitinganation.com. Click on Books and Media and see that book right there, Winning the Battle for the Night, beautiful blue cover. And we will make sure that Amazon ships you a copy of that right away. Faith Blatchford can be seen here on The Sleep Project, Better Nights for Better Days, the last Monday of every month at 12 o'clock. If you want to find out more about her, you can visit her at www.faithblatchford.com. And Faith is going to post this interview on her website today and all her social media sites as soon as we publish it on YouTube. That is the key to getting the word out, and we want to make sure that more people get to meet the incredible Faith Blatchford. Faith, thank you so much for being with us here and being a featured guest on Revealing the Truth.
Thank you so much, Eric. Always a pleasure.
God bless you, my friend.
Thank you.
Okay, and that means we are now at the conclusion of our live broadcast day, but that does not mean that we go off the air. We broadcast these and rebroadcast these episodes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can find them at www.ignitinganation.com or the initials IANBN.com, and watch all of our episodes here, there, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Until we see you right back here in this studio tomorrow with another roster of incredible guests, as well as our feature program, Revealing the Bible, at the 9 a.m. hour. Well, until we see you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, we bid you shalom.